Welcome back to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News Channel. I'd like to welcome to this panelist Professor Kila, Professor of Strategy and Development and Institute Director at the Commonwealth Institute of Advanced and Professional Studies, and Ologun, Legal Practitioner, National Development Advocate, and Fellow of the Institute of Leadership, Coaching and Strategy. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me today on This Day Live. First, we have had three guests. We had Dr. Kabir Adamu, whom you met on the set, talking about this problematic, insecurity in the country. Plateau State, over 11,789 persons, 420 communities, displaced over a period of just 14 years. And that's just in Plateau State alone. And every effort by government seems not to be working on a sustainable basis. He also talked about a fire tragedy in Lagos, Afriland Towers, where persons died because, they just could not escape. A few meters away, a shopping plaza behind Mandela's, there was also a fire incident. The same old story all over. Then we had Chief Johnson Chukwu, who talked about the customs levy of 4%, which the Ministry of Finance has now suspended. He talked about fuel tax, 5%, which, they now say will not take effect immediately, but that it is there, in the harmonization of taxes. He also talked about the National Bureau of Statistics, telling us that, we've had disinflation consecutively for about 5 months, and what that will mean, for the economy, and tomorrow when the Monetary Policy Committee will be meeting. And then we had Obinna Ebugidi, who talked about the latest development, the lifting of the state of emergency, the resumption of democratic structures, activities in that state, and the return, of course, of Governor Sim Fubara and the State House of Assembly. Those are, majorly the issues that we have tried to look at. Let me start with you, Professor Kila.
Well, let me start from where you stopped about the case in Rivers State. We're glad that it is over now and, that the democratically elected members of government are back to the office. I am not particularly impressed by the way the issue has been handled, and I'm not persuaded that the institution of democracy has gained anything from it. I say this because I understand what the president and the presidency says. There are cases that there was imminent danger, and the way to deal with it is by invoking the state of emergency. They go on further to say that the state of emergency was invoked by following due process, i.e. they went to the parliament to get approval for it. But I'm not very convinced, not because of today, well, actually also because of today, but more about tomorrow. Let us start by my concerns of tomorrow. I am concerned, let us assume that this president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a noble, kind, visionary, and dedicated leader. But the process he has established has created the precedent that tomorrow another president who is a rogue or who goes rogue might abuse the system using this kind of precedent that he has established. The process is built on the fact that the president or the presidency has of information that the rest of us do not have. That requires us to trust them, because up till now we have not been shown what this emergency is. I argue that we want to do it well, for the sake of transparency. If you suspend a whole institution of elected government and elected parliament because of an imminent danger, the least we should have is at least an investigation, an inquiry to what that danger is and to those people posing that danger. Because otherwise, there is a risk of this general blanket in which any president might wake up tomorrow and start declaring state of emergency for partisan or even, whims or caprice of that president. So to that extent, I'm not very pleased with it. I would advise those who have the clarity of mind and courage of voice to speak up to say, this issue should not be left here because of tomorrow, because we won't want it to happen this way tomorrow. There should be further clarity, not just say thank you for giving us back the governor. But in terms of the economy, yes, of course, I will say this. Those who read me knows my stance on political economy know that I'm always happy when taxes are revoked or removed. But it is not just my obsession. There is a logic in there. In a country that is struggling to produce, that is struggling to buy, and that cannot afford to consume as much as it should, taxing is not the time now, because if you tax producers of jobs, wealth, and creation of goods and services, at best, they simply transfer it to consumers, so there's nothing to gain there. At worst, you curb them from being able to act because the cost of production is increased. So we have a peculiar situation that we must be very mindful of. And I argue that the way out is not by taxing or levy. It is by thinking of other mode of generating revenue, given that, yes, as somebody reminded me yesterday, a friend of mine, economist, we had this argument, and he was explaining to me that they need revenue. What do you want us to do? My argument is that we should think of other ways to get that revenue, not through taxes and levies. Whether people like it or not, we must admit that it is true that there is a continuous trend in which the inflation is decreasing. Not as much as people would like, but fact is, it is increasing. It is decreasing. The problem we have is that the rise of the inflation was astronomical, whereas the decrease is very gradual. So there is a gap that is difficult to be met, and that is why people are struggling. The other thing, those who wish the country well should also bear in mind is that there are some people that have been cut out of the market totally, who cannot even afford this decrease for now. So if you think that the supply is increasing because there is less demand, it is not actually because there is less need. It is also because there is less purchasing power. When the MPC, that is the Monetary Policy Committee, meets tomorrow as we wait, I feel sorry for them because they find themselves in a situation where they're dealing with a situation that is not generated by the supply of money or the quantity of money. It's not really a monetary issue. What we need to be looking at are fiscal intervention. The monetary policy will play with things that cannot really do very much. And I want people I heard you asking, by the way, the man of his political experience. Whether it's political experience, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we should know that we're not in a place where we should be taxing people who produce or people who spend money to produce anything. It's the wrong time to be doing that. For the disaster, it's a very sad thing. And we should be very careful in this country. Otherwise, we get used to bad things. I'm very worried about that because when we talk about this figure, 11,000 people die. These are very big figures. I mean, I want our viewers to look at it, given that the elites, the rich people like you, Dr. Benabati, you work here, we don't see, but I know, your lifestyle in your houses, and many of you watching me, where you watch international news. Have you noticed that when there's a plane crash or when there's somebody lost in this country, you watch that news so much? It is the news of the day about one or two people. We lose hundreds and thousands, and it's just one other headline that goes on. It's not normal. Nigeria talks about going to greatness. I think we should strive to be normal first before we go to greatness. The fact that our fire services across this country are not able to deal with the situation should not be a surprise because of where I work. I look at some fire service officers around me and I know people are not up to it. I think from the minister in charge to the head of the agencies to the head of each fire station, they need to audit themselves to see actually what they're capable of doing and what they're not capable of doing. And they need to juxtapose their potential capacity with the potential risk so we can see where to bridge this gap. We go around the bush, but you use the keyword and you move away from it. It's accountability. Some people have to be accountable for this is their role before trouble happens. So if you're in charge of saving us from fire, you should tell us what you need. We should know that you're capable, and if you're not capable, we should be dealing with it as preventive measure. By the way, most of the crises are now predictable. You can simulate what can happen. whether it's fire, whether it's earthquake, or whether it's flood of any kind. I think we just need to be more prepared, like the Boy Scout motto says.
Mr. Ologun.
Thank you very much. Let's start from Rivers State. Now, as reported, democracy has been replaced in Rivers. But I'm concerned about the debris of the whole drama. If a house collapses and you want to rebuild, you must first excavate and remove the debris. Now, one of the reasons given was the imminent danger blasting of the pipeline. Who were those who carried out that blasting? Or have we gotten to the state where we cannot thoroughly investigate? At a point in time also, the House of Assembly was brought down because these are important issues so that we don't just rush into, how the crisis was managed and now we have restored peace. We should be talking about sustainability right now and what precedent are we laying for the future. And I also read that one of the intentions is to probe the activities of the sole administrator. And a question came to my mind immediately. Can you probe the president, by extension, who sent the sole administrator to go and hold that season of impasse? And you asked a question, who are the winners, who are the losers? And I think in a very straight manner, I may answer that by looking at the political formula and what happened. You recall that Fubara himself conducted a local government election, which is the base of political control in the state. And that was dislodged by the sole administrator. And the sole administrator, under his watch, conducted another one, by virtue of which 20 local government areas went to APC, only 3 to PDP. And you know the body language of Nyesom Wike. So already, for some, by virtue of perception, he is a big winner in this. But the governor is, he has shown himself as a man willing to allow peace. But now, some of the citizens in Rivers State have said it's been 6 months of impasse. Are we now moving to good governance for the people? And that's an opportunity for the governor himself now to look ahead and see how he can impact Rivers State that is described as an oil-rich region, so that by the time he steps out of office, he can look back and say, I have indeed served my people. And to the people of Rivers State, I also want to challenge them that going into the future, they should be ready to hold the bulls by the horn and manage crisis within their region. But by and large, Wike has promised that there will be peace. Governor Fubara has promised there will be peace. But politically speaking, I think the stage is set for 2027. And some argued that the governor may just be in office as a figure and be hemmed in by the members of the House of Assembly. But I doubt if that will happen, because the members of the House of Assembly also have learned that you can be thrown out of your relevance if you want to foment trouble. And basically, I think there are about 40 cases in respect of all this drama. But I hope everything is resolved in the interest of projecting Rivers State as a state where we can have good governance. And I want to appeal to the government, beyond this political drama, can you also help Nigeria to go after the oil thieves in that region to ensure that the wealth of the land is engaged for commonwealth? And that brings us to the FOB suspension. Again, it is suspension. And while driving revenue, and the argument is that this provision is in the Nigerian Customs Service Act 2023. Yes, we know. But then, what impact has it on trading, on business, on the economy? Because we are becoming less productive in terms of having, improved standard of living for the citizens, because the cost of doing business is getting higher and higher. And I hope that when the suspension is over, on this FOB, the Nigerians will be alert to ensure that they checkmate it. There are several taxes now being rolled out. Again, you discussed the issue of the petroleum tax, 5% or whatever, which some have argued has been in the FEMA Act to fix roads in Nigeria. And many are asking, how good are these roads? So we hope that the government now being responsive, because I read that this happened because of widespread stakeholders consultations. So the yearnings of the people should focus more on how to reinvent the economy of this country to benefit the majority of the citizens. And that's why the question on deflation and everything is germane.
Disinflation.
Exactly. You see, when you talk of all these theories, doctor, the common man out there does not know even the percentage of inflation. The fact is that his disposable income is challenged. Can he care for his family? You know, what is the cost of living within a community? And these are principal issues. I mean, for the high and mighty, those theoretical projections are entertaining. So I want to advise the government also on the practical level. Can you see how the citizens can breathe a sigh of relief that, okay, now, because the taxes cut across, energy everywhere, importers, where are they? So let's rejig this policy. It started with fuel subsidy is gone, and many have come in. In fact, many who were under this band A of energy supply are crying now that they are tired of the band A. Some will tell you how much they pay on a monthly basis just to have access to this energy. And I doubt if that is how to grow the economy, if we are thinking, you know, about sustainability. And that brings us to the fire incidents in Lagos. I just want to advise as an HR practitioner that we should consult again and consolidate. You know, I think it's Article 16 of the Occupational Safety and Health Convention of 1981 that focuses on the number 10 of the 146 or 164 recommendations. The employer has the mandate to make the workplace safe for the workers. And I want to suggest in a place like Marina, the island where we have a concentration of these corporate bodies, I think they should also be able to come up with their firefighting arrangement if they don't have one in a country like Nigeria, you see, with the big profiles of these organizations. And I express my condolence to the families of those who lost their loved ones. And it wasn't an easy or pleasant sight watching how people were jumping and coming through ladder. I mean, this is the 21st century. So I think this is a time for the Ministry of Labor and the relevant regulatory agencies to rise up and begin to profile organizations in terms of compliance with the labor laws and the international standard that we are expected to respect as a people. You know, otherwise, we may just go on and on. It's such an unfortunate incident, but it has revealed the gap that we have in the country, in the area of labor management, because those provisions are there, clearly stated, even in our labor law. Even on that, the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, if you look at Section 17, it's clearly stated the responsibilities of employers to the employees. So, and talking about the 11,000 plus that have died between 2001 and 2025, I align totally with the expressions of Professor Kila that it appears we have lost our sense of shock. It's quite disturbing. And again, there's what you call reinforcement theory in industrial psychology, because I recall that when this Yusuf Muhammad started the Boko Haram movement around year 2000, I was so worried, and I was talking to authority that if a man is coming out to say, I'm against Western education, please engage this man and ask yourself, what does Western education represent? Here we are today, lives being wasted. And again, on the scale of reinforcement theory, because the analysts also took us through the lane of the kinetic and non-kinetic. Some have taken advantage to sponsor this wickedness against the land. Again, for greedy reasons. There are those behind illegal mining in this country. They also have their bandits to distract the citizens from their activities, to take control of the community. And these are issues that should bother the government. And I don't want the government to be portrayed as lame, because Section 15, subsection 5 of our Constitution 1999 as amended says that the state shall abolish corrupt practice and abuse of office. And I have listened to some key players in government. For instance, Senator Shomole coming out to say that the government cannot claim not to know the oil thieves. I have read Honorable Dele Alake saying powerful people are behind illegal mining in the country. So if we are going to go headlong, because from this report presented in respect of Plateau State, and this is just about Plateau State alone, the man also expressed worries that it appears that the relevant bodies that should go after this banditry are not doing their best, because we have several. Look at what former Chief of Defense in Nigeria, Theophilus Danjuma, retired general, said, that the military may even be in a collaboration with this. So we need to wake up, because if we are trying to grow a 1 trillion economy by a specific number of years, we need a secure environment to attract foreign direct investment and present an economic environment that is investment friendly. Otherwise, many people will be frightened out and relocate to other countries. And it's disheartening that even though Ghana is not as big as Nigeria, that the economic growth rate in Ghana will be more impressive. So I wish the government the best on all these issues.
Okay, let's see if we can take more subjects. But before we do so, today is the 65th birthday of Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the First Lady of Nigeria.
Happy
and the
birthday.
President has been praising her. He says she's my steady confidant, she's my steady anchor. And rather, I said, well, it's good to see this side of the President, the romantic side of him, practically.
But you should have known that, Doctor.
Well,
for a man who is a Muslim to have a wife is a Christian.
Yeah,
that tells a lot.
No, that's love.
Yeah.
That's real love. So we'll join others in congratulating Senator Oluremi Tinubu on her 65th birthday. She had said that those who want to celebrate her birthday with her should donate to the National Library Project and not place adverts in the papers. But I've seen that some people have put adverts in the papers, but maybe there are persons who are so well-heeled, they will still contribute to the National Library Project. But,
and I really want to join her for this request for the National Library Project.
Yeah.
It's a very laudable request that she has made.
So congratulations to her.
Mr. Ologun, you know where to send your donation.
Yeah,
I've expressed my position that we don't need the First Lady seeking for birthday gifts to develop and complete the National Library. It's a national project. All she needs is the bedroom talk with the
President.
She's
asking everybody.
all of us can support.
You don't want to donate. I'll be looking out for your donation.
No, Mr. Logan, the library project.
The library project. Let's all do the library project.
We know we discussed this, Doctor.
Well, let's do inside and outside.
It should be a project serious to the nation. It shouldn't take the First Lady to come out.
Well, she has made it clear that the implications for her birthday is for all of us to focus on that National Library.
So I just want the President to surprise her and say, keep your gifts, let me finish this project. Okay. And I hope the National Assembly also will join the President in doing that.
The President has asked you to show that romantic side of him. Let him prioritize the National Library Project. In Togo, President Faure Gnassingbe's sister-in-law and former Defense Minister Margaret Nakade was this week arrested at her home, police sources confirmed. Nakade, who served from 2020 to 2022, is accused of inciting the military to rebellion after publicly calling for the president's resignation. She's also known for publishing opinion articles sharply critical of the president, who has been in power since 2005. Opposition coalition, Don't Touch My Constitution, denounced the arrest as an attempt to silence dissent, describing it as an abuse of power. Her detention follows weeks of unrest, including protests over arrest of critics, rising electricity prices, and a constitutional reform that extended Gnassingbe's rule. Meanwhile, Brenda Biya, daughter of Cameroon's long-serving president, Paul Biya, has publicly urged her fellow countrymen not to vote for her father in the upcoming October 2025 election. Brenda, who is popularly known on social media as King Nasty, made the appeal during a TikTok live session where she accused her 92-year-old father of dragging the country into poverty, unemployment, and decades of stagnation. This is the first time in African political history that a child of a sitting president has openly opposed their parents' rule. Paul Biya, who has ruled Cameroon since 1982, is one of the world's longest-serving leaders. His presidency has long been tainted by allegations of authoritarianism, widespread corruption, human rights abuses, and disputed elections. Let me come back to you, Mr. Ologun.
Thank you very much. You know, this is so sad. And when you talk of the Togolese lady arrested, she was also in government, you know, handling defense. And reportedly, she did well in promoting the interests of the military. And some of them are really on edge now, you know, on her side. And for her to come out, even though she was part of the dynastic rule, because we are talking of a family that has held Togo, you know, since 1967 till date. I mean, somebody should be tired in that family. But this man who is over 90 is resolute to go for the long haul. So we wish him the best. But eventually, I hope the Togolese will summon enough courage to hold their faith in their hands. He has manipulated the constitution and everything to establish himself. And that links us with Cameroon, where the daughter is coming out to say, Daddy, enough is enough. And these are people who want to die in office. They already hold the record of longest serving either dynasty or you know, in office. And if your being in office is of benefit to your country, it can be permitted, but not when it has not brought the best of experience, despite the resources available to the people. So we hope that the people also will be bold enough. We said recently, you saw what happened in Nepal, when the people came out and said, let's engage this issue once and for all. And we are monitoring, Doctor. But this man is bent on going for the election. I think the election should be, 21st of October. So.
Professor Kila?
Well, I think in both cases, they share this tragedy of obtuseness of African leaders wanting to remain in power. And so that is a common thread. The other common thread is the rebellion of the family, which, if on one side we have the tragedy of obtuseness, on the other side we have the triumph of public pedagogy and general information that is making family members, for any reasons, for any interest, seeing that it is unsustainable to have an illegal, unconstitutional monarchy in this time of our lives. I think because it is easy, if you're a beneficiary of a bad thing, not to be able to see the evil inherent in it. My appeal to those who can is to support these people who are rebelling, who are leading the rebellion, because they see that it is neither nice nor sustainable. And that gives hopes. And my prediction is that this kind of reaction will spread across Africa. So just as it has been families that has ruined this continent, maybe liberation will come through families as well.
Well, thank you very much, Prof. And Mr. Ologun, we seem to have covered the ground for this week. Looking forward to seeing you again next Sunday.
Thank you.
You've been watching This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati. From my entire team here in Lagos, it's bye for now, and thank you very much for watching.